of my wrap-up of 2015 year. Today we're going to talk about my reading wrap-up as a whole of this year. So this could be a lengthy video, this could not. Who knows? Let's just go with it. So we're going to talk about what I read in 2015. If you're looking for my top 10 books, that video will be coming very soon. This is just briefly going to talk about like the reading of this past year as a whole, you know, really dicing into what genres I read, how many books I read, how I feel about how much I read. So yeah, let's get on to it. So, books I read this year was 40. Amazing. I think that's great. I'm happy with that. And now I'm going to break it down into genres of how many I read in that genre. And I did not put any books extra in a genre. I'm pretty sure I just put them in one genre. Honestly, when I looked them up on Goodreads, whatever the first genre was, if it was under YA, like I would use that one as the genre. Okay, so first off, I put contemporary on top of the list because obviously I read a lot of contemporary and the list shows that I read 14 contemporaries this past year. And that is YA contemporary, mind you. All these things I'm going to list are YA unless I say so. The second one is dystopian. I only read 2 dystopian, which I was quite surprised on. The next genre is fantasy. I read 9 fantasy. What? I usually say constantly, I don't read a lot of fantasy. I read a pretty good amount this past year. I'm pretty happy with that. Mystery. I don't really read any mystery. I'm okay with that because I'm just not a mystery person. Paranormal. I read 1. I guess 2. I don't know if they're... I think 2 paranormal, honestly. I read kind of 1. I read an adult sci-fi book, so I put that under the adult section, but it's also a sci-fi book. Chick lit, too. I love chick lit. Chick lit is adult, like contemporary, honestly, in my eyes. Adult books. With that, I read 5 adult books. And memoirs. I read 2 memoirs, and my last one I'm just going to categorize as audiobooks. I listened to 3 audiobooks. So, those are all the books that I read. So, am I happy with my genre reading and stuff like that? I feel like I read a little bit too much contemporary. I feel like I just gravitate towards it more, and honestly, when I look back at my list that I read this past year, there was a lot of contemporary that I read that I really didn't enjoy, and I was like, why did I even read that book? And I think I just read it because it was contemporary. So I think with this next year, I'm going to really focus on the contemporaries I want to read and focus more on the other genres that I clearly love that I don't read enough of, like fantasy. I clearly love fantasy. I would like to read more fantasy, so I'm going to focus on that, as well as sci-fi. I love sci-fi. I'm getting more and more into sci-fi, and I'm liking it. Adult books, 5. I feel okay with that number, you know. I like YA predominantly, and there's nothing wrong with that. Every person is different. That's just how it goes. Audiobooks. I'm happy to listen to 3 audiobooks. I love audiobooks now, especially because I have a son and it's hard to find time to read. And I'm always running errands constantly, and if I'm not listening to an audiobook, I'm usually listening to a podcast. It's very rare I listen to music, which is crazy because I love music, but I just love audiobooks, and particularly memoirs. The memoirs I read, I listen to audiobooks because that's how I roll. I love listening to books that the author actually narrates himself. To just look at like the overall sense of reading this year, when I look back on the books that I read, I felt like there was a lot of key ones like that I really love, like books I gave 5 stars that I just loved, and there was a lot of just mediocre ones that I feel like if I could go back and look at them, I'd be like, I don't think I would read this. And I think that happens with every booktuber, you know, we read books that we're not so great about, and every year we're like, we're only going to read books that we're excited about. But I'm seriously thinking, you know, that's what to do, you know. I think I'll go to my shelf and just waste time on a book. I'm like, okay, I'll pick this up, whatever. Instead of picking up a book that I've been wanting to read for a while, or a book that I just really want to get into. If that makes any sense, what I'm saying here. What I'm saying is that I've just looked at the past books I've read this year, and I just feel like a lot of them are just, and I feel bad that I wasted my time on them, if I'm honest, because time is a luxury I am not afforded often. So, I think with this next year, I'm just going to really, you know, I think what happened is that I was very concerned about my goal of hitting 35 books. I just really wanted that to happen, so I just picked up anything and everything. For 2016, I want quality over quantity, which means I want to read more amazing books than just reading a whole bunch of books. So you know what I'm saying? Like, let's say I only read 10 books in 2016, those 10 books could be all 5-star books for me. They could be my favorite books, rather than read 40 or 20 not so great books. I read more of the not so great books instead of taking time and reading the 10 amazing books. I hope what I'm saying is making sense. Like, I feel like I understand it in my head, but I don't know if I'm coming across. I don't want to waste my time on horrible books, okay? I'm just going to be for real with you. I'm not going to say what books those are, but I mean, whatever. I think we all have books we look back on and you're like, why did I read this? Like, I'm okay I read it, but I really wish I didn't spend a lot of time reading it. Let's wrap this up. I don't want to be too long. I'm happy with 2015's reading. I'm not thrilled about it. I wish I would have read more amazing books, like I have said, like I'm saying constantly in this video. But I think 2016, I'm just going to focus on reading what I love. Reading books that I'm excited to pick up instead of being like, I guess I'll read this. I mean, if it surprises me, that's great. But I really just want to pick up books that I'm just want to get into rather than just be like, I guess so. I hope that makes sense. I just need to shut up. Anyway, yeah, I think I did pretty good for reading wise. I'm happy with it. But thank you guys so much for watching my top 10 books of 2015 will be coming up here soon in the next couple of weeks. And yeah, if you want to talk more about your reading wrap up of what you read, please leave it down below. And I will talk to you later. Bye.
With a love like we